So this is what I was wondering also with GB. He does have the Genius Wand, and so I think it works brilliantly. Oh, and Zorn.
Can we spin? There, Shadow gonna dodge away from with the Battle Mirror image in the back line. Don't let go look at TB. Again with the electrifying beast and taking Chan down. Everybody melting. What he just gets deleted in the back. Marquinhos with the Primal Wrath and Fury. These basic attacks that are just so deceiving. That's the carry damage. You don't expect it, and then suddenly all of the hits.
You get punched in the face.
You get punched in the face.
GB got punched in the face.
That was a bit more brutal, to be fair. That wasn't like a punch. That was a
kick.
That was
That
okay.
was
Sure.
a kick in the face. You know,
A
GB,
head kick.
Yeah, GB thought he was okay, and then he's like, oh wait, hold on.
What happened?
What happened? And I was gonna go into the point where he has the Genius Wand, which actually works really well with Udil, and why they can follow up. But man, talk about just a clap back from Entity 7 in that last fight. So with that, I would say Entity 7 is able to get enough kind of confidence in even dancing off with this Lord, because like we mentioned earlier, guys, the Lord gets pretty devastating. Even at this one, the second one of the game, GB can't just sit there and deal with it. He's going to have to also rely on these other members from Homeboys to take that front. And if you look at Entity 7, they have a lot more tanky options to hold that Lord, to hold that front side of the Lord if they have to. So for Homeboys, they might find themselves in a bit of a difficult situation where then they have to decide, do we split push? We have a Claude, he's online, Nets has done this time and time again, you know, and on this specific hero. So that's something that ND7 might want to watch out for. Conceal going to be used. Zorn, but not going to be able to find anything, so they go and just might go ahead and set up for this Lord.
Yeah. I think that's exactly what they want to do here, but they gotta burst it down, they gotta commit to it. If they take too much damage, these members aren't really tanky. And you can see from Homeboys, they're just gonna go and shred it down, no problem whatsoever. GB even just jumping in. He is half HP though, so I think he has to be careful, and he will just use the electrifying beats for the minion waves. A good Lord take for Homeboys. But Entity 7, it almost feels like they know that they can't go for that. They can't contest it, but they can defend.
They can defend. Actually, their clear is pretty good here, especially because they have a Nana. For instance, you know, who also has Divine Glaive locked in now. You also have Carry now locked in, itemization-wise, already locked in. The DHS has the meter gold rose as well. So you have a little more defense to deal with some of the magic damage that's being pumped out, and that's been the main problem for Entity 7 against Homeboys. So they get ready for this Lord to push in. It's going to go ahead and get this charge off. See if they can defend their base.
Oh, heavy spin already used up in the bottom lane as the Eternal Guard gets popped in and just showed him the way. TB in the back line just doing so much damage. Fury assassinated by TB in the back. And now with the Eternal Guard munching on Erwin's HP bar, it will just be them completely wiped out. Everyone except for Chan. And they'll secure game number 1.
My, oh my, on a second Lord. Homeboys said, yep, let's go, and they went. Taking out just Fury, one of the main members we were talking about leading into that, to be online and to fight for that defense. Chibi knew the assignment, went for it, and got it. So that gives Homeboys that first step towards the direction of getting that spot in the group stage. Very strong game for them. You know, again, it took them a little bit longer than their average game time, but as we take a look at the highlights, you saw this Joy, this first pick that we're seeing here in the mid-season cup for the wildcard stage. It looks like it works out great. You just have to play around it, and then once you transition to mid to late game, you got to be a little more careful, you know, going into the approach of some of these. But Chibi still played this very, very well. Yep, this is where he gets, you know, he gets checked a little bit. Is this? Yeah, that was the damage from Marquinhos, by the way, with the Primal Wrath. So, again, he knew his job. He did it well. And the team follow up. Nets, again, too. Nets on this Claude. They didn't have an answer for that, you know, either. So just things really coming together for this game number 1 for Homeboys. Played their play style, played their composition really well. And I'm wondering how Entity 7 will adjust from this. We are going to take a quick break, though, before we get ready for game number 2. Sit tight. We'll be back.
Twists, turns, and a little bit of burns is how I describe day 2 wildcard for Group B. Full of excitement and full of crowd favorites. But one team stood above the rest, and that is going to be Homeboys, all the way out from MPL Malaysia, Season 13, dominating. Again, in a similar fashion for Group B today in MSC 2024, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. I have the whole team with me side by side, and man, the world has a lot of questions. First of all, guys, an amazing performance for today. Undefeated, just like Entity 7 for Group A. It's definitely going to be a hard match for you guys going forward, but for today, what was your guys' secret to success? How did you remain undefeated?
I think we just trust each other and then focus discipline lah.
Discipline and trust in each other. It definitely showcases in your gameplay. Being undefeated is super hard. Tomorrow is going to be possibly your hardest match so far in MSC 2024. But for today specifically, what team would you say was your hardest that you had to face?
IEC.
IHC. Yeah, they were definitely full of some challenges. You guys were a crowd favorite. I asked so many people out here in the venue who would be the #1 team out of Group B, and everybody said Homeboys. So I'm excited to see your performance tomorrow. I got a question for Chibi. I've seen a lot of the Ling gameplay out there. How do you feel about the new patch? Do you feel like it works more in your favor? Do you feel like it's easier for you or harder?
I think it's not easier, not harder, but we need to take time for practice the new patch.
Take time for practice on a new patch. It's definitely one of the most challenging things teams have to face, a new patch in a $3 million tournament. The pressure is higher than ever. Speaking of pressure, guys, tomorrow is another day, another story. It's not best of ones no more. It's the decider stage for a seat or a chance to make it into official group stage for MSC 2024. How do you guys feel about your competition in Entity 7?
I think easy. Yeah.
One word, easy. Do you feel the same, Chibi?
No. We just respect the enemy lah.
Respect the enemy. Well, I love to see it. Both of you guys are undefeated. You guys out of MPL Malaysia, short to SRG, but again, here being kings, dominating, not able to find a loss so far. Same thing with Entity 7. So the world is definitely going to be full of surprises watching for the decider stage to see who will earn that 16th spot. Guys, congratulations again for today. Undefeated, and I look forward to seeing your matches tomorrow.
New adventures bring new challenges. Even as the heat rises, Dandruff and Grease won't stand a chance. With new Clear Men, powered by triple formula technology. To eliminate dandruff, itch, and grease, gives you 8 hours of freshness and 100% dandruff-free hair. New Clear Men, 0% dandruff, 100% confidence.
And we are back. Once again, welcome to the English Desk. If you're just joining us, I am Naisu, this is Mirko, and we are here for the grand final for the wildcard stage. It's day number 3, and it's Homeboys and Entity 7. Homeboys is now up 1-0 in this best of 5. And I could say, man, after watching that first game, that was pretty tough for Entity 7. I think they have to really fix a lot of things if they want to not get swept here in the series.
Yeah. I think definitely one of the big things that you can take from game number 1 was the fact that Chan was just not comfortable on the Nana pick. Because it was already surprising to us that we see the Nana. Maybe it's a pocket pick, maybe it's something that they want to experiment on. But if you take a look at the entire draft, that was what Homeboys were preparing for.
Yeah.
They wanted him to be on a pick that he's not comfortable on. Sure, the Nana could work. I think in that game particularly, they had a lot of combos that could work. But the thing is, Homeboys, they banned 4 mages. So Chan was on their hit list, at least all the way in the draft. So I think for Entity 7, easy adaptation will be pick the mage in the first phase.
Pick the mage at the first phase, yeah. I think I agree there. Let us also know what you guys feel and agree with for our broadcast, our production here, of course, for the Mid-Season Cup 2024. You can go ahead and scan that QR code and let us know your constructive feedback for us to improve everything that we can do here as we go through MSC again. Wildcards after today, we have a couple days break, I think, while all the teams are now flying into Riyadh, and then we get to look forward to the group stage, which is going to be quite interesting, especially depending on which team locks this last slot in here from this matchup. Homeboys is looking pretty good to be that team, though, and I think even when you kind of dissect the game number 1 that they had there, I don't know. I didn't see too many weak points other than it just looked like when they did get, when Chibi got checked, it was more so if we have this lead that we can work with, we have this kind of lineup, we might as well keep putting pressure, because I think that's what the Joy did, man. The Joy was simply for the fact that you had, especially when the Genius Wand was locked in, we already saw how much damage Joy can do early on, but once you get those items locked in, you force yourself into the back of lines, and then you just follow up. Udil, he was just topping damage because by then the magic resistance of Entity 7 was already whittled down, and you follow up with everything that you can with that Vexana. So now looking at this again, Chibi on the Joy pick, that was the first one finally that we got to see Joy picked up here throughout the wild cards. It's been a whole lot of Roger, a whole lot of Ling, and just assassins in general, and the occasional Fredrin. But now you see Joy, and I would say, for a lot of teams that want to play this kind of snowball, let's get the ball rolling early on, Joy is a good quality pick.
I wonder what he sold, by the way, to get that immortality, right? Because I was actually going to mention in the game that it is a very glass cannon build that he went for. But in this game, 16 minutes, so a bit longer than the average duration for Homeboys victories. Usually it's 13 minutes and maybe like 14 max. But E7 were able to bring that out of Homeboys just through making the right decisions, I would say. Because even around the last Lord, I think it would be way riskier to go for the contest over that defense, right? Unfortunately, they weren't able to go and pull off the defense either, but I think they would have been able to had Chan gotten a better pick compared to the Nana in the early phase. So really got to give props to Homeboys here. They did their homework. A lot of people, I think in the group stages, especially in the wild card, I think have been underestimating all their opponents. So the fact that Homeboys are like, okay, Group A, significantly weaker on paper compared to our group, but we still got to respect them, just like all the other teams here in the wild card. So they did their homework really well. They targeted Chan, and so far, when Chan doesn't get his pick, it doesn't seem like it's the same E7 that we saw from day 1.
Yeah, definitely. And like we had that fact when we were in the draft for game number 1, he's been a monster on the Loyi pick, so I think that's probably a staple from Homeboys, at least for the draft. They're just going to ban out the Loyi. So then, yeah, you gotta wonder what is going to be available for Chan, because we've seen him be a playmaker himself throughout Entity 7's run in their group, and now that they're at this point, they got to be able to answer some of the pressure that Homeboys is putting. I think any team that goes against a team like Homeboys, and there's a lot of them in the groups waiting, I feel like, you have to really adjust early on, man, because for some reason, well, I know the reason, it's this patch. Things have changed, and you can't have these slow starts anymore.
You really can't.
It's all just fighting, clashing, and even when it comes to those Lord fights, it's the same thing. If you fall so far behind, and right now it feels like even 4,000 gold deficit is tough for some teams to actually go and contest, when it comes to the Lord.
it feels like, especially when your team is able to get the Sky Piercer very early, that 4,000 gold lead.
That first
is-
item, by the way,
That first
Chibi.
item for Chibi, the 4,000 gold lead feels more like a 10,000 gold
Yeah.
lead before the patch hit. Because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Sky Piercer, I think we got, visual on the stacks as well. I think at that point of the game when we did see Chibi get level 15 on the Joy, he had 30 stacks of that Sky Piercer. So already there at that point, he was executing people very, very easily everywhere around the map, and that's why he was able to just go in with the Immortality, with the Blood Wings, and man, I was actually talking about the nerfs before when Joy
Yeah.
got nerfed. The anti-CC no longer there for the electrifying beats. I was like, all right, it's cool, Moonton, that you got rid of the electrifying beats anti-CC, because I think for all of us, we don't really like that. But damage, why did you nerf the damage too? And now after seeing this, okay, this is a nerf Joy, by the way. This is a Joy that can be stopped, and he was unstoppable in that game.
It's still, in a way, it's like a glass cannon, right? But we'll see what adjustments happen here. We are going to be just heading into the draft here in just a bit. So let's go ahead and take a quick little trip to the draft. Okay.
That's
I
a
think-
quick little
I
trip.
think that is the trip.
For the first time, your quick little trip was actually quick.
Yeah, that was about a second or so.
That was a second? No way. I mean, like, you usually say, that's been a second, and that actually, it's like a day or an hour at least, bro.
Well, you know what? That was less than 10 seconds on my time.
I think that's like my time too. Maybe you've adapted to my time, to the human time,
You know
building
what?
man.
I'm in the human time zone now, but look at this. Lui Yi is actually going to be
Oh,
the staple ban from Homeboys, like we talked about. So that's not happening for Chan. Chan's gonna have to have a different idea, and I think that's how it's solved, Miracle. I think you hit the nail on the head. Just pick up that mage first phase if you're E7, because you get those 2 picks being on the red side. You can just go ahead and play on that advantage, because Nana was not going to work for them. I get too, Nana can provide some pretty good burst damage, but just the overall impact, what are you going to do with the boomerangs, man? Like how is that going to work in comparison to what we saw from the Vexana earlier, or a Valentina, for example, if it's not banned out? We might see one of the teams actually ban the Valentina out here still, because it seems like they're going on that focused route on dealing with that. Mozkov might still come up or not. Gold lane so far, I feel like even if we look at the previous game, that gold lane matchup, there's the Mozkov ban. Dealing with nets, you can't let him get the Claude, I feel like. This is probably one of his best picks, if not the best pick for Nets to play around with. Before, this has been a minute. Bruno has not popped up here like at all for a lot of teams, but Nets also loves that Bruno pick. Does play the Claude though to a T, and that's what we saw here. So I'd love to see E7 if they wanted to go ahead and play, with like trying to get the advantage. Either they ban out a marksman as well, because the Mozkov has been banned here, and that narrows things down a little bit further, or you try to pick up the Claude in this exchange. Whatever Homeboys is going to give up, then maybe you swing back. You either get the Claude, you get the Roger, and then you lock in the Mage. Because it looks like Homeboys, they might go for the Roger, right? Depending on how these last couple bans go out for the first phase. You saw the Harith already take it out here. So we'll see exactly what the Homeboys plan is going to be this time around.
All right, so it's going to be the Chip and the Harith bans, so the exact same bans as game number 1. And for Homeboys, if you guys are a Homeboys fan, that's great, If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That was exactly the banning phase that they used to dominate E7 in the game. But for E7 particularly here, even if they get a pick onto Chan, are they that confident that, giving the Claude over, like you mentioned to Nets, someone who's been able to perform consistently on the Claude, given over maybe even the Vexana over to Udil.
Yeah.
Udil has only played Vexana, I believe, in a wild card. And I think for the most part, even back in MPL ID, when he used to play in MPL ID, Udil is always like this, dude. If he wins on a pick, he's like, why should I even swap?
Yeah.
He goes on Farsa, wins on Farsa, plays Farsa the entire season. Now it's Vexana, so he's definitely found a new favorite there. I'm glad it's new, because I would be pretty surprised if he still wants to play Farsa after
Farsa
playing
can
Farsa
work.
the entire. It could work,
It'll
but
work.
it does seem like he wants to utilize that Eternal Guard more than the Feather Airstrike
Yeah.
now, and wants to have like a beefy boy protecting him in the front. But
Feel a little safer,
this is the exact same bans, which I think it should be, because I think the Roger would be a bit deadly to leave open, knowing that both Nets and Chibi.
Oh, they banned the Claude.
Oh, the Claude Band comes through, but you leave open the Roger.
Is this Homeboy's just swinging for it?
Oh, the Claude is a great band. I understand, you know, you mentioned it. It's
Yeah, I
great
mentioned-
on nets, but the thing is the Roger could be flexed, and both Chibi and Nets could play so well. Chibi, just yesterday, it was the same kind of build that we saw for the...
Oh, there he is.
For the Joy. But yeah, Sky Piercer, War Axe, Endless Battle. He didn't even go for the Windtalker. That was how ahead he was.
Yeah, they're happy with this too. They're smiling about it. You can see that. You know, it's interesting because he's
They're
only
happy.
got a 44% win rate, but that's because he's been flexed. I would say his statistics in the gold lane aren't as good as we've seen them in the
For sure.
jungle, and that'll probably carry over even into the group stage. We'll have to see how that roster changes, because I think one of the things teams really have to have like an answer for is dealing with the Roger and dealing with the lanes that have been popping up. This is still going to be an Edith that's locked in here for E7 in this first phase. Let's see. Do they go for the mage? Do they lock it in here already, depending on how this goes? Because the Edith actually is still... Wow, what? It's the same two picks. They go with the Bane again.
Okay, they should change the third pick. They should change
They
the
should.
first. Maybe they're just trying to look at Homeboys first. You know, you got the Roger already. Are you going to pick up the Vixana again? If you do go for the Vixana... Okay, that's
There it
like
is.
I said, it'll probably
And
be
there
the
it is.
Vixana, and then
What
the
are we-
same. Okay, we're just seeing. You know what? What's scary?
What's
we're
scary?
seeing a change, but that was actually a good change for Homeboys. They got a better pick than the Claw. They got the Roger.
They got the Roger.
Now they have two flex picks, right? In the previous draft, we saw the Claude and then the Ruby Vixana, which means that the Vixana and Claude, we know where it's going. Ruby, a bit of a flex. Now we get to see the Roger, so now it's going to
This
be
is
even more
Minotaur?
confusing. If E7 go for Minotaur,
We're in the Twilight Zone.
oh man, it'll be very scary for E7 if they go for the Minotaur. I mean, it's good for their combo, I get it, but also... You can see the previous draft right above there. I just had to, you know, look at it again.
Just
It's
confirm it was the
confirm
previous
it was
draft.
exactly the same. I guess we'll see here if it's going to be a change. Maybe they go for a mid laner. Maybe they even go for a...
Oh.
Okay, there you go. They pick
There
up the
it
Eve
is.
there, but Eve wasn't bad. So technically they could have gone Minotaur here, and they could have gone for the Eve, right?
Yeah, they could have. She wasn't banned previous game. But you know what? Hey, Miracle, this follows what we were saying they should do.
Yeah.
Mage, first phase,
I agree, yeah.
lock it in. All right?
Chan,
Entity
man.
7 has locked it in. Chan's got it, and this is a pick that, you know, he does play. He does like this pick. It does provide that death box potential when you're going into the objectives. The only thing I hope for is that they're able to actually get to that point where they're able to contest against the objectives because of the mere fact that that's a Roger on Homeboys. And if anything is to be said, Roger will snowball the heck out of this game number 2. And looking at this too, a little game fact here before this decider match. Nets 27 had a 27 KDA.
Wow.
It's the highest among all the wildcard players. The second highest is Sapant with a 9.33.
Two Homeboys players.
Two Homeboys at the top of that KDA standing here. Wow, 27 KDA for Nets. And that's what I was saying, you know, at the end of game 1, I was like, man, even if they had an answer for Chibi, you got to have an answer for Nets. Because Nets
Really
is just... Nets, especially when he gets a Claude. So that's why I'm saying, like, I actually like the fact that Entity 7 decided to go that route, ban out the Claude. It forces Nets on something else. So I'm also wondering what Nets will pick, because he is one of the players that likes to play the Harith in the gold lane, but that's banned out. So we might see him bring up maybe something new for the gold lane, unless this is a flex. Unless the Roger is flexed for Nets in that gold lane. But as we get through this second phase of bans, the Terizla is banned out, the Minotaur, like we mentioned earlier. And, you know, for I think both the teams, this first phase is good. It's locked in. I mean, it's nearly identical, but the Eve I like better than what we saw last time. I think a lot of people still need to see the the value of Eve in the current meta,
That's true.
because I feel like she could be quite devastating with some of the new items too.
Great poke.
You know, the poke is actually pretty good. The glowing wand could actually provide a lot of value to this lineup going against Homeboys, if that happens to be one of the first few items that is picked up here by Chan. Because, you know, there's a Ruby over there, there's a Roger, and you kind of need to deal with it. The only thing I don't like about Eve, she's stationary.
Yeah.
Like, you are vulnerable in that sense once you set up.
And that's exactly why they banned the Ling, right? Because the Ling would be able to take advantage of how stationary you are, of how you're technically immobile. in these skirmishes. You can't be, you know, as flexible as a Valentina, as flexible even as a Lo Yi with the diversions. You can't find those angles, and you don't really have a way to self-peel. Because usually with the heroes like this, you have a way to CC your opponent, right? Even the Varsa, you get the immobilization with the passive. But now with the Grok and the Terizla banned out, they're really trying to stop E7 from bringing up these heroes. They can actually lock these members down from Homeboys. Because I think for Homeboys, they want to play similarly to how they played or executed their game plan for game 1. They want to attack from different angles. They want to utilize their mobility and to make E7 utilize their resources, and then Homeboys comes in. Again, it's like a layering type of gameplay for Homeboys, baiting out resources and then coming back again later.
Yeah, we'll see if they do that. Also, as we wait for this next pick, I almost would like to see an Arlott picked up here. I think that could work out really well, kind of swooping them into either the deadliest catch or into the real world manipulation. Yeah, you know, it could work out, but Carmilla is going to be the answer for now. So that's the answer for E7. This means the Carmilla, is this going, where's this going? Is this Rome? Rome Carmilla?
Should
has to
be
be
Rome.
Rome Carmilla, right?
Technically, yeah, it should be Rome because
Bane going to the jungle, Edith
yeah,
going
Edith
XP.
XP.
Yep. All right.
it is still very one-dimensional though,
Yeah.
nice, right? I mean, if we take a look at game number 1, the main reason, you know, E7 weren't really able to look for anything else except for team fights was this composition, and that's why Homeboys were able to get an overwhelming lead at the start of the game. They utilized their pickoffs, they utilized their mobility, and now we
There
get
it
to
is.
see Nets on the carry, so it'll be confirmed that Roger will be going into the jungle. That's the higher win rate
Yep.
of the two jungle / goal lane Rogers that we've seen, and now the last pick for Zorn, or perhaps for Sipbot, it's gonna be the Mathilda. So Mathilda for Zorn.
Yeah, this is a great last pick here, and it's funny because Matilda in a way is kind of slept on now, which, you know, she was in this kind of mode where she was banned out constantly previously in the year, but a lot of teams don't want to pick her up as much, but she still provides a lot of value. And this, really, the value that comes from Matilda with this lineup from Homeboys is the guiding win. Mostly, I'd say the guiding win, allowing the carry to maneuver around a little bit better, because there's a lot of lockdown that could happen from E7 in the form of that deadliest catch. You know, even the Curse of Blood will be able to set things up for Entity 7, despite what they have here for Homeboys. I think you need that mobility because you already have it. Roger has enough mobility himself, you know, and you can play around that.
Yeah.
You have Eternal Guard to disengage for yourself, so this is really for that carry
Oh.
pick. And here's the Clint that comes through for E7. Interesting. This is, you just look at this lineup.
Mobility versus stand your ground.
Just stand your ground. Post up, fight it out, and hope, too, that, you know, you can make it through, because
Oh man, yeah.
I still would say, like, it's almost a similar facet here for E7. They want to get to the late game. Clint can do quite a bit of damage, but he needs time. You know, he's got to get time to get to that high noon status. He's not just firing off early on, you know, and Carey does too, but the whole point of this is, again, Roger is across from you. So, you know, we saw a glimpse of Bane's damage in the previous game. Hopefully they can have even a better time, because he lost a lot of his purple buffs. If you guys lost if
Yeah,
you
he
didn't see the breakdown there of buffs, they need to lock that down for him. So, we got the lineups here locked in for both teams, Homeboys and E7. It's about same, but a little bit of diff. Let's head into this game number 2 and find out if Entity 7 can bring this series in the best of 5 to a 1-for-1. As both teams get closer to locking things in for the group stage. And also looking at this, there's a whole lot of quantum
Marquinhos?
charge for Entity 7. Focusing Mark, though, too, for Irwin. Look at this already, the pressure from Zorn. I don't think they're going to be able to catch him at all. Take a couple hits, going to be fine.
All right, Warcry, by the way, for Chibi, but this matchup in the gold lane, it should favor Fury by quite a bit. Marquinhos already with the rotation very early on as well. That would explain why he went for the lane cut very, very early. Udil still with this Vixana. Chibi getting brought back. Irwin is going to be taken out now under the turret like it pounds. And Chibi, he even followed through under the turret. He gets out.
Warcry.
Warcry plus, obviously, man, the like and pounce interaction. Sometimes you follow,
Yeah.
sometimes you just deal the damage.
Sometimes you just, somehow you follow him and you're still in the jungle, you know?
It works for them.
It works right there, and This is exactly what we were talking about in the draft, guys. You know, when you get this Roger locked in and somehow, some way you're able to get the lead, which most teams play around this. If you are going to draft a Roger, you look for that play potential early on, and that's exactly what Homeboys did. Good response here from Hide on Bush.
Whoa. Interesting dive into the deadly catch. He goes Zorn though, provided guiding win as the Turfway connects onto the back line with the Curse Blast as well. Hide on Bush, unable to go for the kill to TV. You can see him, he's smelling blood in the water. The Hide on Bush will be able to escape. Under the turret he goes. Sabat canceling the recall. Marquino with the onward. Now with the Earth Shatter connecting as well for the Turfway and the Curse Blast gets rid of him. Rivera, he can even go for the trade. Chibi, if he locked down, Lycan pounce there together with Chan, picking up that damage and the kill. Now the Turtle free for Hide on Bush. He doesn't have the retribution though, and Internal Guard is already dealing damage. It's gonna be Chan who secures it as the real world revelation locks them down, and Chan secures the double kill. Zorn trying to run away, will be able to do so as he also used the Purify in that skirmish.
And that's what we're talking about from Chan. Locks in this Eve pick first phase and is going to be the
Instant
start
impact.
here. Yes, the huge impact, the different of the impact here already in comparison to the Nana pick in game number 1. That's what Entity 7 needs. So now that he has these 2 kills, he's going to be locking in that first item a lot sooner, and which will, again, they play around the real world manipulation. So able to punish Homeboys. You know, Homeboys going for that play, and they were off timing a little bit. They weren't able to get Chibi there when they tried to follow up through that setup. So it was unfortunate for them because then they just ended up overstaying on that side, taking a lot of damage. Entity 7 punishes them and it makes a great play. So they'll be able to keep things together. A good item already picked up here for Fury. Gets that Blade of Hepsises locked in. So the Clint, I think one thing you really need to pay attention to is where is that power spike for this lineup from Entity 7. It's already showing that they have a lot of fighting potential early on. You know, and meanwhile too, Hide on Bush with the deadliest catch, all he has is a Fury Hammer. And he actually does provide quite a bit of damage if they're able to catch them in that real world manipulation. And now he does lock in the Hunter Strike. So this is already good for Entity 7, much better than the previous game. You know, gold-wise, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much balanced between both teams. But Entity 7 is really able to keep these early skirmishes.
Okay. Curse the blood
Good little
there.
fake out there. I feel like that was more of, could something happen here? If not, then they at least got the Curse of Blood out. They might still try to do the same thing on this side of the map.
Everything be slowed. Good deadly catch by Hide
Get that
on
out
Bush.
too.
They get 2 big resources. Like you said, man, I think Entity 7 might have to give away this turtle.
And they might have to just go ahead and get that orange buff. But it looks like Homeboy's not going to actually fully start it up because they still need Chibi to get his purple. Eternal Guard will be dropped down, but they're just going to kind of deal with this zoning potential right now. Erwin doesn't have the Curse of Blood yet. Neither does Hide on Bush have that deadliest catch. So they'll try to play around these timings, waiting for those cooldowns to come up.
Oh, Marquino with the Earth Shatter and the Flicker combo connecting on the Chibi with Onward, not connecting with the Primal Wrath, does enough damage with that the catch as well. Chibi with Lycan Pounce now caught in the real world manipulation as Hide on Bush gets rid of him. The Curse of Blood on the 2 right into the combo of Hide on Bush. Earth Shatter knocking Udil up, doing some damage. Chan with the Flicker forward, but Udil will respond to that with his own Flicker. Both teams now for Chibi, who's not able to get anything. It's going to be E7 straight into the tier 1 in the mid lane, taking it away. And this is a good lead for E7.
This is a great lead. I mean, they're up now 2,000 gold against Homeboys, really showing that they control this phase of the game. And meanwhile, this whole time, Fury, the gold lane experience, just chilling in that gold lane, farming up, getting everything that he needs. Does get that turret down now, tier 1 down in the bottom side. So he's going to go ahead and get to rotate and continue to farm up here, because so far he doesn't need to be in these fights, man. Like he's doing his thing, his own time, and Entity 7 is able to just again post up and fight it out. Look at the XP difference this time around, and this answers the question on why the Bane again in the first phase with that Edith. And there's your answer. Really being able to farm up this time around for Hide on Bush. Hasn't died yet. And really, when you look at it, one of the answers to deal with Roger here might be real-world manipulation. You trap him in, you lock him down. The Curse of Blood. There's a lot of these abilities that are working really well against how much mobility Roger has here. Now, hopefully they can maintain that, but you see this too. The War Axe is going to be that first item locked in, so it looks like even for Chibi, he wants to be a little bit more cautious and not just going all in on that first Skypiercer build path we sometimes see from the Rogers here in the jungle. So with that right now, Homeboy is going to find themselves working against a minor deficit. And Entity 7, as they get ready for that third turtle, they've already got 2 in their pocket. They can possibly just go ahead and lock all 3 in. And as you see them getting in position here, Turtle's now going to spawn up. Turtle Guard already going to be dropped down.
Marquinhos with the onward onto Sapon with Earthshadow connecting as well. Sapon is unable to go for the escape. Chibi going to be locked down by the real world Malaysian as well. Chibi with like and power, but they gets caught by the Primal Wrath of Marquinhos. 3 members of Homeboys taken down, and Entity 7. They collapsed, they got the win. Homeboys can only go for a trade up top.
Entity 7 right now is in full control of this portion of the game. Look at the damage on Zorn! Fury, we were wondering, when would that damage start to show? When would that power spike come through? And I think it's already here, and that is going to make it even more difficult to move around with. That's the Ice Queen wand picked up by Chan. Great initiation that came out through here. Primal Wrath to pick up the kill from Sapat, and then they punish Chibi even further as he was just trying to get his orange buff. So it looks like Entity 7, man, they really had this game plan to get revenge here at Marquinhos.
I'm offended into the knockup of the circling eagle into the damage, and Marquinhos still able to survive with the Primal Wrath now, dealing some damage. Fat Nuts will be able to take the kill down. Now the flicker with the Crucible Blade connects on the 3 members, and they can look at the deadly catch. Now with Fury dealing the damage with the grenade bombardment. Entity 7, they respond to that play, and they capitalize on it. It's only the XP traded in for 2 big members beside of Homeboys. Chibi walking up again, hide on push. Oh, the bounce of the crab cannon. Did you see Udo's HP?
Those crabs hurt, man.
Yikes.
That crab cannon is loaded. And like you just saw, the combination that we were talking about even in the draft, real world manipulation with the deadliest catch is able to just do so much damage. They even get the Sea Halberd to kind of work.
Oh, the stun down into the grenade bombardment. He can only go for Lycan Pounce, but then Chan and Fury continue the damage output to take him down under the turret. Zorn's looking for a trade with a circling eagle. Marquinhos pops into Primal Wrath just in time, and he soaks in all that damage. No problem. Now the Sharks running them down. The crab cannon nets. Oh, the bounce as Fury takes a turn for free up top, buys the Skypiercer as well. 9 minutes in, and this is an even bigger goal lead that Homeboys had in game 1.
Yeah, this is Entity 7 from what we saw through their groups, going the distance 3-0 in all their games, sweeping their group, going against the same for Homeboys as they swept their group. But man, it looks like just Entity 7 very strong in this game number 2. Look at the damage. Look at the amount of damage that this pick, this Bane is doing in the hands of Hide on Bush.
Dude.
Yeah, it's this is big damn, man. Like, and he's not even fully locked in right now in terms of the items, and so it's really, you're wondering, what can Homeboys now do? They're finding themselves on the opposite end of things. That's already going to be the Lord Security here for Entity 7. And Homeboys, they're going to have to get prepped up and ready. For Nets does pick up the DHS, an endless battle for Chibi now as well.
Wow.
Some of those items still paying, you could say they could pay value to this lineup for Homeboys, but right now, as you look at the disparity in terms of items, they're having a difficult time fighting. You almost have to rely on them to get the ultimates out from Entity 7, especially the real world manipulation, but it looks like they might just find themselves on this defense. The Lord making its way up top. Chan now also picks up the glowing wand, so that even helps further dealing with some of the possible shielding and sustainability from Homeboys, as that Sea Halberd is already locked in too. There, they go in.
They're going in the flank. Meanwhile, Lycan Pounce in the backline. Chan's going to be shut down. GB in the midst of it all, going for the team fight now. And another Lycan Pounce with the Earthshadow will connect. The Primal Wrath will lock them down to get munched on by the Sharks of the deadly catch. Hide on Bush. Only now does he buy the Skypiercer. I thought he already had it with how much damage he was doing. Now in the mid lane, base turret. That holy defense already getting crocked down, as now it's going to be Fury with the grenade bombardment together with Hide on Bush, munching on the base turret HPs with the First Lord They're able to take all three up top of the lore, down below with the Sharks coming down again onto the base. Udil trying to do some damage to the Curse Blast as well, but Erwin will just walking forward 11 minutes, Entity 7!
Where is? They didn't even have a chance to defend. I mean, Hide on Bush was not hiding anywhere. He just goes in, knocks down the base, under the 12-minute mark. Entity 7 came back in game 2.
Good fun. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Entity 7, the reigning champs, undefeated for the wild cards. Guys, I look forward to seeing you guys compete against Group B. Hopefully it's Homeboys. We look forward to seeing you guys possibly remain undefeated. Congratulations, and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Kembali lagi bersama dengan kami di sini. Kita secara rasminya result berbalas satu sebenarnya pasukan Homeboys dan juga NTT7. Kita menunjukkan bahawa prestasi kita semakin lama semakin meningkat, tapi kita juga tidak boleh lupa bahawa pasukan musuh juga menampilkan satu kebangkitan yang sama. Jadi untuk rakyat Malaysia, hashtag jangan mengalah ataupun pantang mengalah kerana kita masih lagi belum berakhir. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, masih lagi berbaki 3 perlawanan yang kita akan main. Kalau pasukan Homeboys menang game seterusnya, mereka perlukan satu lagi mata untuk melanjutkan peringkat seterusnya.
Ya, mengalah bukanlah sifat kita sebagai rakyat Malaysia, dan setiap kekalahan, setiap kegagalan perlu untuk diambil sebagai sebuah pengajaran. Jadi pasukan Homeboys perlu untuk belajar semula daripada kesalahan dan juga kesilapan mereka di pusingan yang kedua sebentar tadi untuk diperbaiki pada pusingan seterusnya. Kejohanan antarabangsa terakhir bagi Chan dan juga Edwin adalah di M4 World Championship, bermain untuk pasukan S11 Gaming.
Di M4 mereka bermain, tapi kali ini mereka tampil di wild card juga. Itu menunjukkan bahawa mereka dahagakan kemenangan ini. Pastinya mereka akan menewaskan pasukan Homeboys. Cita-cita mereka sangat-sangat tinggi. Tapi kita di sini 100% kita punya sokongan akan diberikan kepada pasukan Homeboys. Saya percaya bahawa ramai yang akan memberikan sokongan yang sama. Saya percaya Saiful juga yang menonton memberikan sokongan yang sama. Terutamanya sekali beliau mencintai. Dia dah ada daripada awal penubuhan Homeboys.
Fans garis keras.
Fans keras.
Ban Harith dilaksanakan. Bagaimana ni?
Pilihan yang baik sebenarnya Julian. Kalau nak fokuskan kepada hero dekat bahagian mid lane juga boleh buat masa sekarang ni. Tapi sebabkan mid lane untuk Chan mempunyai hero Kufra yang besar, tapi Kufra terus saja dipilih buat masa ini oleh pasukan NTT7 di pick yang ketiga. Jarang kita saksikan Kufra dipilih pada pemilihan yang awal. Dia sapu bedak dekat telefon dia macam nak tebal Kuti Canai. Saya nampak tadi.
Sapu bedak.
Sapu bedak dekat phone macam nak tebal Roti Canai.
Lagi dan lagi
Lagi dan lagi.
Kita dah saksikan sebelum ini. Tapi Minotaur di ban keluar. Ada hero yang mampu untuk counter ke atas Kufra. Last ban pastinya Grok. Confirm. Kalau tak ambil je lah Grok tu. Tolonglah ambil je Grok tu. Sebelum perlawanan penentuan ini dilaksanakan, Chan sudah pun memberikan 72,000 average damage per game. Wow, sangat-sangat besar damage yang ditampilkan oleh Chan sebagai mid laner bagi pasukan NTT7. Ban seterusnya, pembuangan Lunox lagi.
Ya, antara yang terbaik juga untuk dikeluarkan. Tapi dengan adanya Kufra, ini agak bahaya kalau digabungkan dengan beberapa mid laner lain. Contohnya kalau dapatkan Yif juga seperti apa yang awak katakan. Tapi bila dapatkan Yif akan menjadi backfire untuk pasukan NTT7 sebabkan dah ada Valentina, dah ada Link sebenarnya. Jadi mereka perlukan mid laner yang bersifatkan mobility yang tinggi, tapi dalam masa yang sama follow up-nya agak batas.
Mobility yang tinggi, follow up agak batas.
Lilia?
Untuk NTT7 lawan dengan Link
Ke nak
dan
gunakan
juga
hero lain?
dan juga Valen, bagi saya kurang sesuai lah. Oi, mereka ban Akai Okey, free Grok kat sini. Tak tahu kalau saya punya pemahaman kat atas drafting ini sudah pun mula menumpul daripada tadi. Kebanyakan dia tak kena.
Biasa tu, masing-masing menyediakan strategi yang berbeza. Masing-masing ada second plan draft yang mereka dapat tampilkan ketika ini. Tapi untuk pasukan Homeboys, band yang terakhir, kita menjangkakan adakah hero Godlin yang mereka akan fokuskan juga. Tapi saya tak rasa Godlin antara pilihan yang terbaik untuk ditarget buat masa sekarang ni. Fokuskan kat bahagian mid lane.
Kena ban mid lane.
Vexana.
Okey.
Baik. Kita terlupa yang masih lagi ada Vexana.
Tapi bagi saya dekat sini, kalau
Ambil
untuk NTT7 Kadita dekat bahagian gold lane lah. Nak curi carry sekarang ke? Curi carry okey juga sebenarnya. Ataupun Brody.
Saya
Brody
rasa
Kadita. Brody last pick Kadita.
Brody Kadita.
Ataupun Clean. Ili Rubus.
simpan dulu Godlin.
Saya rasa kena ambil gold lane sekarang. Ini
Kalau
tak ada
tak
gold lane
nanti
lagi.
Homeboys akan ambil Godlin. Akan ambil Brody.
Betul. Tapi dia takkan ambil Brody, dia takkan ambil Brody Clean. Saya rasa dia akan ambil carry juga.
Kalau buat masa sekarang ni kita akan dapat saksikan dalam masa 5 saat. Terutamanya apabila NTT7 mereka memegang last pick. Ada banyak juga cheese pick yang kita dapat saksikan. Eudora telah pun dikeluarkan oleh pasukan mereka. Follow up, yes. Tapi crowd control tu je. Follow up tu macam
Kajian cuaca mendapati bahawa Riyadh mungkin bakal disambar petir sebentar lagi.
cuma peti tu tumpul ataupun tidak.
Mungkin petir itu terkena ke arah Homeboys ataupun tidak akan kita saksikan.
Minsita
Untuk lawan dengan Roger. Kalau Roger ni Roger Godlin, kalau Roger ni bukan Roger Godlin, macam mana ceritanya?
Saya rasa lebih kepada mereka nak tumpukan ke arah team fight dan mereka nak stabilkan double fighter dekat bahagian laning. Jadi Romo mereka perlu kelas Grok. Terus saja dikunci fair. Pick
Grok
daripada pasukan Homeboys ketika ini telah pun dikunci. Tapi kalau last pick itu di bahagian jungle ditukar, adakah berita yang baik untuk pasukan Homeboys? Kalau tiba-tiba jungler mereka adalah
Roger. Kalau junglernya Roger bagi saya,
kalau jungler tu last pick ni lain lah maknanya. Tiba-tiba
lain macam.
ya, tiba-tiba lain macam jungler. Ataupun mereka nak kekalkan saja god lane. Mungkin kalau mereka nak ambil
Apa lagi yang boleh untuk menjadi lain sedikit daripada seharusnya.
Melissa, Brody.
Semuanya bagi saya agak mudah untuk Homeboys tangani. Kalau mengambil jungler yang
Tyrod. Ya, mereka kekalkan Roger di bahagian gold lane. berhadapan dengan
Sempat oleh Kalalin ni, sempat Kalalin dia akan jadi makanan habis-habis. Ada Dora, ada Dairot. Dia menjadi seorang pemain frontline yang sukar untuk ada mobility, sukar untuk melarikan diri. Melainkan kalau Grok saja yang dijadikan target itu berbeza ceritanya. Tapi kalau Homeboy seringkali meninggalkan sempat, dia akan menjadi makanan dalam tim kali ini.
yang kena kemaskan balik. Walaupun daripada sudut draft saya rasa masih lagi stabil untuk kena lepaskan, tapi in game mistake tidak boleh dilaksanakan oleh pasukan Homeboys. Begitu juga dengan bagaimana kedudukan early game perlu dimanfaatkan 100% oleh pasukan Malaysia.
Mata seri sudah pun mereka dapatkan. Kali ini kembali untuk berada di hadapan. 2 kemenangan perlu untuk kita miliki. Homeboys, ayo bangkit. Sekali lagi perlawanan pusingan yang kedua di antara Homeboys menentang NTT7. Ayo sama-sama kita saksikan.
Yap, GB ketika ini akan ditekan terlebih dahulu oleh Erwin, tapi datangnya Odil. Begitu juga dengan Zon, cuba untuk memberikan tekanan. Bagaimanapun Erwin akan cuba untuk melarikan diri terlebih dahulu. Skin baru daripada Odil menampilkan Valentina. Itu cantik sekali. Region Effect telah pun di cancel. Erwin terpaksa untuk pulang.
Erwin terpaksa untuk pulang dengan nyawa yang sangat rendah di fasa awal lagi. Tapi tidak mengapa, tidak ada permasalahan. Flicker tidak dibazirkan sekalipun, namun memberikan ruang untuk Chibi bermain dengan lebih agresif. Tidak perlu untuk berfikir di manakah kedudukan Erwin. Jadi pemain-pemain milik pasukan Homeboys juga mampu untuk memegang map ini dengan lebih luas lagi.
Ya, pantas gerakan untuk membersihkan minion. Mereka mempunyai kelebihan sebenarnya untuk berada di dalam kawasan mid lane tersebut. Memandangkan mid lane mereka adalah Eudora, tapi terpaksa untuk pulang sebentar untuk next ketika ini. Datang Chibi untuk memberikan bantuan.
Terus saja mencari hide on Bush. Akan cuba untuk disasarkan Deviant SWAT. Setelah tanpa Zoblik mendarat sementara tadi, disusuli lagi dengan damage daripada Nars, menghabiskan terus nyawa milik hide on Bush dan kematian untuk Darat di fasa early game. Sangat kritikal, sangat penting.
Berita yang baik telah pun didapatkan terlebih dahulu oleh pasukan Homeboys ketika ini. Jungler untuk pasukan NTT7 telah pun dibunuh buat pada awalnya. Tapi Fury berada dekat bahagian atas, mengetahui bahawa advantage untuk mereka selepas menyaksikan net senyawa sangat rendah. Pengambilan turtle yang pertama akan dimulakan. Kena ingat juga NTT7, mereka mempunyai kelebihan yang sangat-sangat besar apabila masuk dalam kawasan pengambilan neutral objektif. Dan nampak seperti mereka akan mendapatkannya dengan mudah.
Ini tak baik. Tidak mati satu tapi dapat terlalu kuning. Sedikit perlahan. Odil cuba untuk disasarkan. Stun terkena. Odil dalam kedudukan berbahaya, tapi Odil
Ya, dia gunakan ultimate daripada Primal Wrath.
betul, sangat-sangat baik. Tapi kali ini lihat bagaimana Erwin masih berjaya untuk melarikan dengan menggunakan Pika. Markino berjaya untuk dapatkan Odil. Namun masih lagi ada I'm Offended. Berjaya untuk dielak. Sempat akan ditumbangkan Zon. Berjaya untuk menumbangkan pemain tersebut. CB baru saja hadir, ingin memberikan bantuan, tetapi Zon tetap akan berjaya untuk melarikan diri dengan menggunakan World Charge. Berjaya untuk mengelak daripada skill set yang dikeluarkan oleh NTT7. San, boleh tu untuk ditumbangkan siapa yang nak datang? Follow up pula. Sayang sekali kalau tidak mungkin San boleh untuk dijadikan sasaran mudah oleh mana-mana pemain selain daripada Zon sendiri.
Tapi sempat ketika ini akan ditekan walaupun dalam keadaan tersebut pasukan Homeboys mereka telah pun dihukum sedikit sebanyak di bahagian sungai. Yang kita boleh saksikan pasukan NTT7 entah bagaimana mereka mempunyai kelebihan yang agak besar bila datangnya Markino tidak dikorbankan. Crowd control yang mereka tampilkan menyebabkan pasukan Homeboys tidak mampu untuk lakukan follow up damage yang jauh lebih pantas. Tapi dalam kedudukan ini pasukan Homeboys mereka perlu sedaya upaya untuk pastikan yang neutral farming memiliki atau berpihak kepada mereka sebenarnya. Kalau diberikan secara keseluruhan kepada pasukan NTT7 tidaklah baik.
Odil hilangkan double dash begitu saja. Dan tamparan daripada Erwin melekatkan pemain ini terus ke arah dinding, disusuli dengan satu ultimate terakhir daripada Hide on Bush mendapatkan kill yang kedua buat Darat ini.
Ya, agak terburu-buru sebenarnya untuk gunakan double dash tersebut dan terus sahaja dihingkap dengan tamparan yang begitu menyakitkan daripada Erwin. Tyrus Rage yang menyakitkan digabungkan pula dengan Visa Strike. Iron Bush dah 2 kill walaupun pada awalnya dia ditekan dengan 1 kematian. Tapi Iron Bush sekali lagi akan dicari ketika ini.
Cubaan untuk mencari hard on Bush mudah pastinya. CB mendapatkan kill. Posisi berbeza. Nars dicari. Fury mendapatkan kill. Udil mencari Marquinhos. Masih lagi ada satu lompatan daripada Erwin menyelamatkan keadaan. Percubaan daripada Erwin tidak berjaya walaupun tamparan kata 3 orang pemain. Tapi Udil berjaya untuk mendapatkan total. Double kill juga dimiliki. Udil cuba untuk menangkap Chan. Mencari triple kill untuk Udil. Dan bersama triple kill untuk Udil miliki.
Nasib baik tidak dikorbankan Chibi sebentar tadi. Kalau tidak ini akan menjadi trade yang baik juga kepada pasukan NTT7. Selepas jungle pasukan Homeboys dikorbankan, tapi goal laner untuk pasukan Homeboys ketika ini akan diasak terlebih dahulu di bahagian atas. Kita nampak bagaimana Roger berjaya untuk menang 1v1. Ini agak berbahaya untuk pasukan Homeboys, kerana kalau kita dapat saksikan untuk Ned juga dia perlukan sekurang-kurangnya 2 item untuk dia pastikan yang at least damage dia mencukupi untuk jatuhkan Roger.
Ya, sekarangnya Demis kembali mencukupi. Lihat bagaimana Erwin sebentar tadi. Lompatan revenge flicker yang sedikit dibasirkan oleh rakan-rakan pasukannya daripada sudut positioning. Tapi lihat dalam satu pertempuran yang berbeza sekarang. Hard Arms berjaya untuk dikorbankan. Udil juga berjaya untuk dijatuhkan. Chan berjaya untuk ditumbangkan 4 orang. 3 orang saja sebenarnya. Hampir menjadi 4. Tapi Marquinhos berjaya untuk menyelamatkan keadaan. Mengakibatkan sempat tertumbang. Tapi sempat dengan satu time offender flicker mencari Fury. Dan shutdown diberikan kepada CB. 4 orang terkubur untuk NTT7. Homeboys kembali bermain secara agresif.
Walaupun gerakan itu gerakan yang perlu dipertikaikan, tapi apabila tarikan dan juga dengan I'm Offended itu mengubah segala-galanya untuk pasukan NTT7 dan Chibi dalam game ini, kita boleh dapat saksikan bagaimana dia bermain dengan agak selesa walaupun farming rate-nya tidaklah terlalu tinggi dan dibandingkan dengan pasukan Hide on Bush pada early game untuk mengambil bahagian neutral objective. Tapi bagaimana dibalancekan dengan pengambilan jungle yang lain. Sekarang ini level 10, manakala untuk pasukan Iron Bush baru level 9 daripada sudut pengambilan gold dengan 5,000 di hadapan dan 3,8,000 sahaja untuk Dairos. Dan inilah kelebihan untuk menggunakan assassin apabila farming rate-nya sangat-sangat tinggi. Sky Piercer dan juga Husk Claw telah pun disiapkan. Burst damage ada, life steal juga ada. Ini akan menyukakan pasukan NTT7 kalau mereka tak ada anti-heal dengan pantas.
Ya, cepat sekali. Sangat-sangat penting untuk mendapatkan ice baju tersebut. Sekarang ini di bahagian bawah pula Fury mencari menara, berjaya untuk dapatkan satu untuk satu daripada sebelum menara. Tapi kali ini turtle yang seterusnya sudah pun dimiliki oleh Homeboys. 2 tidak didapatkan tapi 1 tangkapan ke atas Chan. Flicker juga dipakai. Zon mencari Chan. Tapi lihatlah bagaimana Zon pula yang disasarkan. Tamparan ke atas Zon. Namun pada saat ini lihat bagaimana pasukan Homeboys memberikan satu tamparan yang lebih hebat lagi ke atas N7. Satu Tempest of Flame mencari Chan. Namun Chan akan memberikan satu masalah besar untuk CB. Penggunaan King Calling ke atas Iron Bush. Double kill untuk Ness miliki. Namun data di CB. Homeboys dalam masalah besar. Percubaan daripada Fury untuk menamarkan nyawa Udil. Udil berjaya untuk dikorbankan juga. Nyawa rendah untuk sempat dan juga Zon terpaksa untuk berundur kembali. Marquinhos dah habis juga berundur pada saat ini. Percubaan untuk masuk lagi. Tarikan daripada Ness. Berjaya untuk dapatkan 2. Berjaya untuk dapatkan 3. Namun sempat turut terkorban. Lihat bagaimana Fury masih lagi ingin cuba mendapatkan Zon. Namun Flicker berjaya untuk ditekan. Melarikan diri daripada cakaran serigala ganas ini.
Wow, tak sangka sebenarnya kedua-dua pasukan begitu agresif untuk memulakan sebarang team fight. Dalam gerakan tersebut, masing-masing menunjukkan kelebihan mereka. Tapi sayang sekali pada awalnya Chibi dikorbankan terlebih dahulu ketika mana cuba untuk mendapatkan Chan. Tapi dia simpan ball lightning. Dan keadaan yang kritikal tersebut, dan kita nampak bagaimana sekali lagi. Okey, dah ada gerakan daripada Tempo of Blade. Dengan adanya juga strike daripada Dairos, dia stun sekejap, gabungkan dengan ball lightning. Damage tersebut sudah cukup untuk menghalang Chibi daripada restore balik HP dia. Yang menyebabkan pasukan Homeboys tadi kehilangan pemain yang sangat-sangat penting. Percubaan yang baik daripada pasukan Homeboys untuk mendapatkan perfect team fight, tapi digagalkan pula dari flanking yang baik.
CB dijumpai tapi tiada sebarang masalah. Kali ini ada Berserker Fury. Lihat daripada sudut item 3 item sudah dicapai oleh CB, pemain dengan gol tertinggi dalam permainan kali ini. Dan dia sudah mendapatkan 3 item yang sangat-sangat penting.
Ya.
Kalau dapat Endless Battle mungkin itu ataupun Gold
Okey.
dia lebih cantik. Tapi Hard on Bush, saya rasa pemain ini sudah pun jadi sedikit kurang berguna bagi pasukannya. Dengan penggunaan darah di bahagian mid game dengan 252 tidak akan memberikan impact yang besar di bahagian late game nanti. Dan itu akan menjadikan satu sedikit masalah masalah yang besar untuk NT7. Tempang sebelah
Tapi-
kaki untuk mereka.
Tapi bagaimana gerakan tu perlu dipuji oleh pasukan Homeboys. Bila Zon gunakan dia punya white charge kemas ke arah dinding, datang Nets gunakan dia punya King's Calling dan juga dengan adanya tarikan hook yang cantik, follow up itu yang menyebabkan pasukan Homeboys menjatuhkan jungler dan tepat pula pada waktunya pengambilan lot yang pertama. Jadi dekat sini pasukan Homeboys, mereka dah ada kelebihan seperti apa yang berlaku di game yang pertama. Apa yang mereka perlu lakukan adalah disiplin untuk pastikan yang dengan lot yang pertama mereka dapatkan ini, mereka mampu untuk meruntuhkan sekurang-kurangnya ke semua outer turret untuk pasukan 7.
Cepat sekali. Percubaan untuk Lord diarak masuk. Namun lihat bagaimana Marquinhos.
Wow.
Terkena pula wild charge. Cantik
Cantik.
tarikan terbuat bersama dengan King's Calling. Nuts! Dapatkan 2 front line milik pasukan NT7. Berbaki 3 saja. Lord masih lagi dalam perjalanan. Agak perlahan tetapi minion juga sudah pun sampai di kawasan tengah untuk dimiliki satu persatu menara milik pasukan NT7.
Yup, NTD7 perlu melakukan pertahanan ini pasukan Homeboys. Follow up ini yang kita mahukan. Cantik, begitu pantas sekali. Kesemuanya skill disalurkan dengan kemas. Setiap pergerakan mereka tampilkan mampu untuk menyebabkan NTT7 terpaksa untuk berundur ke belakang. Pengambilan Eudora dalam game ini bukanlah yang terbaik untuk melakukan pertahanan selaku high ground.
Betul.
Tapi kalau untuk bertahan ketika mana dikejar, ya mungkin okey. Dan itu pasukan Homeboys, mereka tahu perkara tersebut dan mereka dah gunakan kelebihan lot yang pertama ini. Kesemua auto turret berjaya untuk diruntuhkan. Next lot, mereka perlu dapatkan sekurang-kurangnya 1 ataupun 2 inhibitor turret.
Ya, NT7 nampak garang di bahagian awal permainan, tetapi draft mereka ini bukan draft untuk melakukan pertahanan. Eudora dan juga Dairot takkan mampu untuk memberikan apa-apa impact yang besar, tapi dapat boleh sempat cuba untuk memberikan
Hidup.
follow up oleh pasukan NT7. Masih lagi mampu untuk bertahan, namun King's Calling terkena ke arah Roger ini. Ditarik ke bahagian dalam, Erwin kembali ke dalam gaung dan mengakibatkan 2 orang terkorban. Double kill untuk CB. Tempest of Blade. CB perlu untuk berhati-hati. Masih lagi ada ball lightning, tapi triple kill untuk CB miliki. Tarikan hampir terkena. Minion dalam perjalanan. Tinggal 2 orang saja yang berbaki. Cibi bersantai terlebih dahulu mendapatkan buff sebelum serangan disusul oleh pasukan Homeboys di kawasan tengah ini.
Yap, 3 pemain telah pun dikorbankan dan team fight sebentar tadi. Pasukan Homeboys ada kelebihan sebenarnya untuk mereka meruntuhkan kesemua inhibitor turret bagi pasukan NTT7, tapi mereka hanya mahukan 2 sahaja. Perlukan Lord untuk mendapatkan seterusnya. Chibi dengan gameplay linknya. Ramai yang kata gerakannya perlahan, tapi kena ingat, walaupun perlahan, tapi gerakannya jitu.
Sangat-sangat tepat mengenai sasarannya. Dan bagaimana defense sword yang dia guna pakai memastikan kill dimiliki tepat pada waktu.
Dia kalau dalam falsafahnya, dia pun perlahan tapi on point.
Betul. Itu saya boleh kata itu moto Kaltizi waktu M3. Lancelot dia
Dia pun
yang
perlahan tapi on point.
point.
Ya, sir. Itulah dia konsep yang digunakan oleh GB sekarang ni. Tapi untuk pasukan NTT7, apa yang mereka cuba untuk laksanakan adalah surprise attack. Tapi mereka yang terkejut begitu pantas. Lot diruntuhkan oleh pasukan Homeboys. Mereka perlu melaksanakan pertahanan di saat rata-rata pemain ataupun hero-hero mereka ni bukanlah hero yang terbaik untuk menahan perjalanan minion yang saya boleh katakan datang daripada arah yang berbeza. High groundnya kurang, tapi kalau pick off-nya dapat, mungkin kejutan perlu dilaksanakan oleh Erwin.
Kalau tanya dengan saya susah juga kalau Nets sempat buka King's Calling sebab
Ya, follow up-nya akan jadi kurang.
ya, follow up-nya akan jadi sangat-sangat kurang. Pemain-pemain yang ingin masuk ke bahagian dalam pastinya tak akan jumpa jalan untuk keluar. Sangat-sangat sakit sekarang ni untuk Odil sekalipun. Tapi lihat bagaimana Odil boleh dicari. Satu penggunaan yang berat bersama dengan berat. Tapi lihat bagaimana satu tamparan ke atas 3 orang pemain. Satu penggunaan awal chance ke bahagian daripada Odil berjaya ditumpahkan. Namun chance juga berjaya terjatuhkan. Nets juga terkorban. 3 orang jatuh untuk Homeboys sekarang ni. Sempat juga bernasib yang sama. CB masih lagi ada. CB dengan triple kill mencari maniac dan juga hampir savage sekarang ni CB. Masih lagi di mobility. Namun Crystal akan diberikan tumpuan. Savage ataupun endgame. Savage ataupun endgame pilihan untuk CB sekarang ni. Savage untuk CB miliki. Sebelum game berjaya ditamatkan. Pusingan ketiga. 2 berbalas 1 untuk CB membawa Homeboys mara ke depan dengan mata pendahuluan.
Jap. Tu official savage ya?
Official savage.
Oh my god, GB! Biar perlahan, tapi on point. Gerakan daripada linknya memberikan asakan demi asakan kepada pasukan NTT7. Mereka di ambang penyingkiran. Pasukan Homeboys di ambang kemenangan. Peluang untuk mara ke peringkat seterusnya menjadi kenyataan. Hampir masa ini.
Kalau kita lihat tadi, Zon boleh je endgame.
Gak bi.
Bi, kau nak?
Kau nak main kau nak sampai je, Bi. Bagi aku.
Ngam-ngam lah. Tapi banner saya sikit je keluar.
Ya.
Tak keluar habis.
Tapi kita dapat saksikan adakah itu celebration sebenar kita dapat saksikan. Tapi early game ini yang kita mahukan daripada pasukan Homeboys. Kalau nak kata kurang kesilapan, tak juga. Ada beberapa kesilapan dilaksanakan. Tapi okay, ini adalah untuk kita guess siapa MVP juga lepas ni. Link dengan 10-19, Grok dengan 2-0-20, Nets dengan 7-3-11. Tapi kat sini daripada sudut itemization kita boleh dapat saksikan Chibi difokuskan kepada Haspa pada item yang pertama. Dia siapkan Sky Piercer untuk tambahkan lagi kemungkinan dapatkan kill. Sebabkan mereka tahu mereka ada damage daripada Valentina dan juga daripada Misita. Kat sini damage sudah cukup untuk pastikan Link dapatkan last hit. Dan dengan adanya Berserker Fury, dia dah tak perlukan last hit, dah boleh keluarkan damage. Dan untuk pasukan Entity 7, Dairot dalam game ni betul-betul kena shutdown disebabkan juga beberapa dash yang daripada Dairot. Dia nak keluar mana-mana dia perlukan dia punya second skill. Tambahkan lagi kalau dia gunakan Retreat, dah ada King's Calling, dia tak boleh larikan diri.
Tapi zaman sekarang susah nak dapat Minsita Gold Lane yang cemerlang.
Ya.
Dan Nets tunjukkan macam mana caranya nak mainkan Minsita Gold Lane dengan cukup baik. Bagaimana dia punya King's Calling, on point, lagi dan lagi. Saya paling suka bagaimana dia tak simpan banyak, terus saja melakukan pick off. Tapi inilah dia MVP untuk perlawanan sebentar saja tadi, iaitu Zon. Dengan pembawaan Grok beliau 22 KDA-nya, gold per minit 572, kill participation yang penting untuk seorang Roma 22%.
Yap, lagi laris lah jualan jersinya. Yang KDA 22. Lawa. Ada dua design. Gold per minit dengan 572 kill participation, 92% untuk Grok ini. Wild charge demi wild charge untuk menyelamatkan keadaan. Kalau daripada sudut emblem, saya boleh katakan basic common emblem ni adalah yang terbaik.
Tapi Zon ni memang penggemar kasut.
Betul.
Hampir semua item dia, hampir semua dia punya emblem kasut.
Dia nak movement speed. Dia nak pergi mana-mana senang. Nak pergi atas, pergi bawah, semuanya dilaksanakan dengan mudah. Tapi dengan region daripada basic common emblem tersebut menyebabkan Grok ini juga menjadi sedikit kebal tanpa kematian. Sebenarnya untuk Grok ini yang digunakan oleh Zorn. Best game untuk pemain ini, untuk pemain sebentar tadi, menyebabkan pasukan Entity 7 mereka dalam ambang untuk pulang semula ke Latam.
Betul. Baru saja hadir, tapi itulah dia. Dalam kejohanan ada yang menang, ada yang kalah.
Yes. Jadi untuk tuan-tuan puan yang berada di rumah, Saiful juga boleh tolong viewers dia beritahu untuk survey kita punya broadcast kat sini.
Betul.
Scan QR code tu, bukan nak bagi diamond je, tapi kita nak suruh anda survey. Jadi Saiful tolong suruh anda punya viewers scan. Tolong
Abang Lot yang tengah listening juga tolong.
Tahu apa?
Tolong bantu sikit.
Kita nak naik rate. Tapi kita akan berehat terlebih dahulu. Kita akan jumpa lagi selepas ni. Penentuan, adakah pasukan Homeboys akan menang 3-1.